Grinding skills has always been a dilemma for Hypixel Skyblock players, and the reason for that is because everyone is always trying to find the most efficient way to grind a certain skill just so they spend less time on it. Well, this week we're gonna have a special mayor named Derpy who is going to help us with that, because one of his perks gives us 50% extra XP on every skill that we have, which means that people are going to be grinding skills a lot this week. So I thought, why not make a video on the best way to grind your skills and the most efficient way. The main focus of the video isn't going to be showing you the best methods to grind the skills, although I will go over them briefly. The main focus is going to be skill wisdom. Skill wisdom is basically the stat that increases the amount of XP that you gain on your skills. For example, if I have 50 mining wisdom, that means that I get 50% more XP from any mining source. And the same thing goes for every other skill in the game: fishing, combat, foraging, farming. Everything that counts towards your skill average will have wisdom on it, and it works the same way as it does with mining. My name is Farmer Warden, and today I'm going to be going over all of the ways that you can gain skill wisdom, and as I mentioned before, briefly go over the best way to grind each skill. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, then make sure to stick until the end, because that will give me a chance to earn your subscription. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers right now, so if you have watched one of my videos before and you're not subscribed for some reason, then make sure to do that, because that will help me out a lot in terms of making these videos for you guys. Without further ado though, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Now, gaining skill wisdom is different for each skill. Basically, you get skill wisdom from gear most of the time, but there are also permanent ways to gain skill wisdom for certain skills, like, slaying slayers to gain permanent combat wisdom, or getting essence shop upgrades to get like mining wisdom or combat wisdom for certain mobs, and things like that. So at first, I'm going to go over the universal ways of gaining skill wisdom. So these first two items are going to be giving you skill wisdom for every single skill in the game, pretty much. Now, the first one is going to be the booster cookie. Now, the booster cookie is the only item in the entire game that gives you skill wisdom on every single skill in the game, cosmetic and non-cosmetic. As you can see on the perks menu, it says plus 25 wisdom on all wisdom stats. So even if you look at something like carpentry that doesn't have any other way of gaining skill wisdom for, I still have 25 wisdom for it because of the booster cookie itself. Now, booster cookie is around like 12 million coins at the moment, which is kind of expensive, but trust me, this thing used to be like close to 15 million coins, so 12 mil is actually not that bad. But anyway, the second best way that you can gain wisdom is going to be God Potion. Now, God Potion is this potion that basically gives you every potion effect in the game for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours depending on your alchemy level. So if you search God Potion on the auction house, you can see that it is somewhere around like 2 million coins. So if you take a look here, 1.8, 1.9 mil, it lasts for a long time. Now, the booster cookie lasts for 4 days, and even if you're offline for 4 days, it will expire. But the God Potion actually stays there and only gets consumed while you are online. So this 5 hours that you see on my God Potion, this has been there for about like a week because I haven't been getting on too much. Now, God Potion is a little cheaper than the booster cookie, and the reason for that is because, first of all, it doesn't add as many perks as the booster cookie, and second of all, it doesn't add every skill wisdom. So you can't actually gain taming or carpentry wisdom from a God Potion, and those are the only two skills that it doesn't give skill wisdom for, because for every other skill in the game there is a potion that gives you extra wisdom. And given that a God Potion gives you every single potion effect, that means that it gives you 20 extra wisdom on every other skill in the game other than taming and carpentry. Now, there are also ways that I would not recommend going for. So for example, there is this thing called the Magic 8 Ball. The Magic 8 Ball is an accessory that costs like 500 million coins, and it gives you 1 extra wisdom on a random skill every Skyblock season. This is 100% not worth it if you're going for wisdom. I wouldn't recommend getting this at all. There's also obby cases that give you like different skill wisdoms based on what kind of obby case they are. So the blue but red obby case gives you like combat wisdom. The blue but yellow obby case gives you farming wisdom. These are also something that I wouldn't recommend because they are like 20 plus million coins each, and even on the bids shop, they're not worth the 1 extra wisdom that it gives. So again, that is something that gives you wisdom, but I wouldn't recommend going for it unless you want magical power. There's also this book called Quantum 5. Now, Quantum 5 is like close to 1 million coins on the bazaar if you buy order it. If you want to insta buy it, then it is like 2.5 mil. But anyways, this one also gives you 2 skill wisdom for a random skill on real life weekends. So during weekdays it gives you vitality, and during weekends it gives you a random type of wisdom, and it only gives 2. So if you have money, then I would say go for this. I mean, it's probably worth it because the weekends are probably the time that you're going to be grinding anyway, so you might as well buy this. But this is also another one that gives skill wisdom for everything, depending on, you know, your luck, obviously. But anyhow, now I'm going to go over skill specific types. So the only 2 skills that I didn't go over the wisdoms for are going to be carpentry and taming. Now, in order to level up taming, the only thing that you need to do is to make sure that you have a pet at all times. Even if you're not going to level up the pet, just having the pet on and grinding something will get you taming XP, and this is basically something that will be maxed out passively. Whatever it is that you're doing, you will get taming XP, because I don't think that you should do anything without a pet anyways. But now on to carpentry. The best way to get carpentry XP, in my opinion, is the nether warp method. How the method works is if you go on Bazaar and go on farming, and you just put up a buy order for 71,000 enchanted nether warts, right? It's gonna cost you like 53 million coins. It is a bit expensive, but that is the only time that you're gonna be spending this 53 mil, because once you get the order filled, you're going to turn them into mutant nether warts. And then you're going to sell the mutant nether warts either to the NPC or back to the bazaar, which will in turn make you some profit on top of getting your money back. Now at the moment, because Derpy is mayor, everyone is doing this, so the nether wart prices are actually inflated a little bit, but normally this wouldn't be the case. So for you guys that are watching this during Derpy, then this is going to be a little more difficult for you, because you won't actually gain profit, you'll actually lose some money on this. But again, this is the best way to get carpentry XP. Now let's go over alchemy. So alchemy, the best way to get alchemy XP is getting enchanted fermented spider eyes. This is going to be the most expensive one as well out of your options in terms of like making potions, but it's going to give you the most amount of alchemy XP out of anything else. Now this one also doesn't have a certain method to gain wisdom for. Like alchemy wisdom, you can only get it by getting a god potion and getting a booster cookie, and the maximum amount is going to be like 45 because god potion gives 20 and booster cookie gives 25. Now let's go over enchanting wisdom. So enchanting wisdom, the best way to gain enchanting wisdom is obviously the guardian pet. Now the guardian pet starts giving you enchanting wisdom at the rare rarity. It will give you 25 enchanting wisdom at that rarity, but in the epic rarity it will give you 30 enchanting wisdom. I would recommend getting the epic one because it's the cheapest one that gives you 30 enchanting wisdom. The mythic one, which is the highest rarity guardian there is only more expensive because of its other perks. If you want to make money from enchanting, then I would say go for mythic, but if you just want XP, then epic does just fine and is cheaper. So now I forgot to mention the best way to get enchanting XP, and that's because I thought it was self-explanatory, but if you need to know, the best way to gain enchanting XP is by using experimentation table and resetting it using bits. But anyways, money is not what this video is about. This video is about skill XP and skill wisdom in general. So the next skill that I'm going to go over is going to be fishing. Now fishing, I'm not very experienced on fishing, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think that the best way to gain fishing XP is just by increasing your sea creature chance as much as you can, because sea creatures give you a lot more XP than any fish that you can catch. So make sure you have your sea creature chance as high as possible when you want to do this. Now the best way to gain fishing wisdom is going to be number 1, the squid pet. The legendary squid pet is the only pet in the game that gives you fishing wisdom, and it will give you up to 30 fishing wisdom. There's also an enchantment for this. So if you take a look here, the expertise enchant, it is kind of expensive at the moment, again probably because of Derpy, but it's going to be worth it in my opinion, because once you max this out, you can get up to 20 fishing wisdom on your fishing rod from just this enchant. If you want to max it out, you need to kill 15,000 sea creatures, which is a bit much, but again, it's going to be worth it because 20 fishing wisdom is not something to ignore. Now, in terms of accessories, there are many accessories that will give you fishing wisdom. One of them is the obby case, which I wouldn't recommend again. Another one is future calories talisman. Again, I wouldn't recommend that. It's just too much work to get, and it only gives you 1 fishing wisdom. The 2 that I do recommend are going to be the Agarmu artifact and the Chumming talisman. So the Agarmu artifact is actually like 5 to 6 million coins, and it does only give 1 fishing wisdom. Now, if you just want to buy it for fishing wisdom alone, then I would recommend getting the uncommon, because that one also gives you 1 fishing wisdom. But if you want magical power, then the rare one is the way to go. But the Chumming talisman also gives you 1 fishing wisdom. That one is only 300k, so no reason not to go for that one. Another way that you can gain fishing wisdom is going to be the fishing experience attributes. So attributes in general are going to be a little more expensive. So this is for a little bit of a richer player, if you will. But as you can see here, so fishing experience 2 grants 1 fishing wisdom. That means each tier will give you 0.5 fishing wisdom. Tier 10 will give you 5 fishing wisdom, and this can be applied to fishing armor and fishing equipment. So if you apply it to all of your equipment pieces and all of your armor pieces, this can give you up to 40 extra fishing wisdom. So if you have the money, then I would highly recommend going for this, because 40 wisdom is not a number to sleep on. But anyways, now let's go over foraging wisdom. So foraging is a skill that is going to be grinded a lot during Derpy. One of the ways to gain foraging XP is, as you expect, the Ocelot pet. So the Ocelot pet, depending on which rarity you get anywhere from 20 to 30 foraging wisdom. I recommend going for the epic one, because the epic one gives you 30 foraging wisdom. The legendary one is no different, and the other perk in the legendary doesn't actually matter that much. So would highly recommend getting the epic one, because it's just way cheaper, and unless you're going for Skyblock XP, then there's no reason for you to go for the legendary version of Ocelot. There are also equipment pieces that give you foraging wisdom, but I'm not going to go over them because they are also way too expensive for the amount of foraging wisdom they give. The reforge that will give you the most foraging wisdom though is going to be the toil reforge. So the toil reforge, you can obtain it with the toil log, which you can actually buy from an NPC right behind blacksmith, right next to the reforge anvil, and this will give you up to 5 foraging wisdom on your foraging tool, which for most people that's going to be the tree capitator, and tree capitator can go up to legendary tier, and it does give 5 foraging wisdom for legendary tier weapons. Now the best way to grind foraging in general is, this is what I've heard, by the way, I haven't actually done this, but I've heard that if you just put 4 saplings right next to each other and then just bone meal them, and it will grow to a tree with a 2x2 base. And once you use your tree capitator, you can just redo it and just keep rinsing and repeating that on your own island until you get foraging maxed out. Okay, now we're getting to a little bit more of a fun skill, and that is going to be farming. So for farming wisdom, you're gonna have to get a bunch of things. So first of all, there is this thing called the fruit bowl, which you'll get in the century event. Most of you probably already have this. The fruit bowl is basically this item, which only costs like 50,000 coins on the auction house. It basically requires you to right click on players, and each player has a different profile name, right? So if you get all of the profile names on this, it will reset and give you 1 extra farming wisdom. It's not that much, but considering how cheap it is and how easy it is to get, I would say it's worth it. So definitely something to look into. The pet that you can get for farming wisdom is going to be the rabbit pet. The rabbit pet also gives 25 wisdom at the rare rarity, and then at the epic rarity it will go up to 30. I would recommend getting the epic one because the legendary and the mythic aren't that different than the epic. Unless you're going for Skyblock XP, then epic is cheaper and it will give you the maximum amount of farming wisdom that you need. The equipment that you need for farming wisdom is going to be the pelt belt, Zoro's cape, and the rift necklace, each of which giving you 1 farming wisdom. Not a lot, but you know, if you have them, then why not use them, you know? The reforge that's going to give you the most amount of farming wisdom is going to be the blessed reforge. The blessed reforge is actually a reforge that you can find right behind the blacksmith. So in the smithmonger, you can actually find the blessed fruit right here, and this is also where the toy log is, which I talked about earlier. These are both 1 million coins each, and they will cost somewhere around like 300,000 coins to apply, I think. Nope, it actually costs 10,000. 1.3 mil for like 5 wisdom on both foraging and farming. Would highly recommend getting this. For those of you that have mythic codes, this can add 6 farming wisdom to that rarity of items. Now, just like fishing, farming also has its own enchantment. So if you take a look at the bazaar and you take a look here, there is this thing called cultivating. Cultivating is a stacking enchant which can give you anywhere from 1 to 10 farming wisdom. You need 100 million crops collected to max this out. I would recommend going to cultivating 8 because that is the tier that requires like 5 million crops, which is not too difficult to get, and it gives you like 8 extra farming wisdom, so it is definitely a very good option to go for. The accessories that give you farming wisdom though are going to be again the Agarmu artifact. So not only does that give you fishing wisdom, but it also gives you farming wisdom. Now the only other talisman that gives you farming wisdom is going to be the atmospheric filter. So if you take a look here, it says atmospheric filter gives you 20 farming wisdom during summer. Now consider the fact that this is Skyblock calendar, by the way. So if you check your Skyblock calendar right here and it says summer on top, which it does for me. Right now you can get up to 20 extra farming wisdom if you have the atmospheric filter. It is only like 1 million coins to get, so I would highly recommend getting it. It is pretty much worth it for the amount of farming wisdom that it gives. Now another method that you can get farming wisdom is going to be your tools. So having tools that are upgraded to their maximum tiers do actually give you a decent amount of farming wisdom. So if you have the mathematical hoe blueprint type hoes and you have them up to mythic, they will give you up to 12 farming wisdom for the specific crop that you have the tool for. So for example, sugarcane hoe gives 12 wisdom for sugarcanes, wheat hoe gives 12 wisdom for wheat, and so on and so forth, right? Now this only applies to mathematical hoe blueprints, as I said, and for pumpkin and melon, it only gives 10 farming wisdom while harvesting melons and pumpkins. And then the cactus knife and the fungi cutter, unfortunately, they don't have farming wisdom for their respective crops. And the same thing with cocoa chopper. The only reason why I have wisdom on it is because of cultivating 6. Now the best way to level up farming is going to be by farming mushrooms. Mushroom is the crop that gives you the most amount of farming XP. I think if you enable your rabbit pet, you can get up to like 11 or 12 farming XP per each crop that you farm. Now it is Derpy at the moment, so that's why I'm getting like 17 instead of the regular 11 or 12 XP. But anyhow, you just go through this farm like once or twice, and then by the time it's done, while having your rabbit pet equipped, you can go back to your garden right here and then attend to your visitors, because visitor is going to be the main way that you gain farming XP. But in the midst of you waiting for the visitors to spawn, you can just farm mushrooms, which will actually speed up the process of these visitors spawning. But anyways, moving on to mining. Mining is going to be a little more complicated because there's actually a permanent perk that can give you mining wisdom, and that is going to be the Dwarven training perk. So if I warp to Forge here, and if I just go to the Royal Mines and go up to the gold essence shop, take a look here. Dwarven training does actually give you up to 10 mining wisdom while on mining islands, and I don't know why you would be mining if you're outside of mining islands anyway. So this perk basically costs like 6,500 gold essence. All of the perks like this that I'm going to mention later on are going to cost 6,500 essence as well. It's just a different type of essence that they're going to require because they're going to be in different essence shops. But anyways, the pet that you can use for mining is going to be the silverfish pet. Now I would recommend going for the legendary one because it's only like 2 million coins. Not too much money that you need to have to get this, and it does also give you haste 3 if you get the legendary one, which will help you mine a lot faster. And in terms of reforges, the best reforge that you can get for mining wisdom is going to be the refined reforge, which requires the andesite whetstone. This is only like 1 million coins, 500k if you somehow get a buy order to fill. But if you want to insta buy it, it's 1 mil, and it gives you up to 7 mining wisdom if you have a Devon's drill. If you have anything that's mythic or legendary, you can get 6 and 5 mining wisdom respectively. Oh yeah, and you can only apply this to pickaxe and drills. In terms of enchantments, the stacking enchant for this one is called Compact. So Compact actually gives you up to 10 mining wisdom and a small chance to drop an enchanted item. Requires 1 million blocks to tier up to tier 10. Again, this one, if you are, powder mining for gemstone, this should be very easy to get to tier 9. You don't have to go to tier 10 because it's only like 1 wisdom you're missing out on. But anyway, the best way to level up mining is going to be mining Mithril. So Mithril is actually the easiest block to break, and it gives you like a decent amount of mining XP. There's also a chance for you to spawn titanium, which will give you double the amount of XP that Mithril will give you. You could also go for gemstone grinding with this because it makes a lot more money, and it also does give you like a really good amount of mining XP. But I would recommend Mithril because it breaks easier, therefore you can mine it faster, therefore you can get more XP from it. Now mining is the only skill that has this, because mining is the only skill that has a skill tree. So if you take a look at the Heart of the Mountain perks, there's this perk called Seasoned Mineman. So Seasoned Mineman has the potential to give you up to 15 mining wisdom. At level 1 it will give you 5 mining wisdom, and in order to level it up to level 100 you need 1.2 million gemstone powder, which isn't that much to get. Alright, we've gone over every method in the entire game other than combat so far. So combat, the reason why I wouldn't recommend doing this during Derpy is because Derpy also has a perk which doubles every mob's HP in the game. So if you find it difficult to kill mobs, then this is not something that you should go for at the moment. If you're watching this after Derpy is gone, then just skip this part and just skip to the part where I start talking about the combat wisdom. But if you're watching this during Derpy, then make sure that you do enough damage and you're comfortable killing all of the mobs while they are double HP. But anyways, just like mining, this one also has its own like permanent perks that you can get from essence shops. So the first one that I'm going to go over is going to be the Crimson Essence shop, which is called Crimson Training perk. So this one, if you max it out, obviously as I said, it requires 6500 Crimson Essence to max out. This one also gives you 10 combat wisdom in the Crimson Isles or a Kudra boss fight. 100% recommend getting this if you are grinding in the Crimson Isles or Kudra, because this island in general gives you a lot of combat XP. So in order to maximize your efficiency, 10 more combat wisdom would definitely help. Now, if you're grinding in the end and you're grinding like Ender Slayer, for example, there is this guy named Taizo. So this is the Dragon Essence shop. And there is this thing called Ender Training. Ender Training gives you up to 7 combat wisdom, and as all of the other perks, it requires 6500 Dragon Essence for you to max out. This same thing also exists in the Spider Island. The Spider Island actually has the Spider Training perk. I'm not going to go there right now. I'll just go over it briefly because it's the same thing. So the Spider Training perk also gives up to 10 combat wisdom while in the Spider's Den, and this one also requires 6500 Spider Essence to max out. Another way that you can gain permanent combat wisdom is going to be leveling up your slayers, specifically killing slayer bosses. So if you kill a slayer boss for the first time, if it's tier 1, 2 or 3, it'll give you 1 extra combat wisdom permanently, and if you kill tier 4 or 5, then it will give you 2 permanent combat wisdom. So make sure you kill at least 1 boss of every tier in every single slayer to get the maximum amount of combat XP needed. Now let's go over the temporary ways. Now the temporary ways, I would say the best way that you can get combat XP in Derpy is by doing slayers, because slayer have these pets that give you like 50% extra combat XP against a certain type of mob that you're grinding for that slayer. So for example, if you take a look at Mythic Enderman, it will give you up to 1.5 times your combat XP against Enderman. Now this same thing applies to every other slayer, as I said. So for Zombie Slayer, it's going to be the epic or legendary ghoul pet. For Wolf Slayer, it's going to be the epic or legendary hound pet. For Tarantula Slayer, it's going to be the tarantula pet, either legendary or mythic. And then for Blaze Slayer, it's going to be the wisp pet, which goes from uncommon to legendary actually. And then if you just want a pet to give you combat wisdom in general, then make sure to first of all talk to the Grandma Wolf NPC and get yourself a Grandma Wolf pet. And if you have an Abyssary, make sure to get it to legendary, because at the legendary tier, it will give you 15 extra combat wisdom at the 20 kill combo, even if it's not equipped. And then we have the Wolf pet, which will give you 30 combat wisdom for any mob. So no matter what mob you're killing, if it's level 100, it will give you 30 combat wisdom. When it comes to swords and weapons in general, each specific slayer has its own weapon. I'm going to go over the ones that give you the most amount of combat wisdom. So for Zombie Slayers, it's going to be Reaper Falchion and Axe of the Shredded. For Spider Slayer, it's going to be the Scorpion Foil. For Wolf Slayer, it's going to be the Pooch Sword. For Enderman Slayer, it's going to be the Atom Split Katana. And for Blaze Slayer, it's going to be the Pyro Chaos Dagger or the Death Ripper Dagger. Each of these will give you 45 combat wisdom for the specific type of mob that you're killing for that slayer. So for example, Katanas will give combat wisdom for Enderman, Reaper Falchion gives wisdom for zombies, you get the point. There is an equipment piece that also gives you combat wisdom, and that is the Rift Necklace. Only 1 combat wisdom though, so not too important. In terms of accessories, there are only 2 accessories that give you combat wisdom, and that's the Hunter Talisman and the Hunter Ring. Now these are both pretty expensive, so I would not recommend going for this if you are just going for wisdom alone. If you want magical power, then sure, you can go for a Hunter Talisman or a Hunter Ring. But as you can see, the Hunter Ring is actually like 35 million coins, so it is pretty expensive. Now there is also an attribute that gives you combat wisdom, and that's Veteran. So if you have Veteran on all of your armor pieces and all of your equipment, and you level up the Veteran to tier 10, you can get up to 60 extra combat wisdom just from your Crimson armor alone. Whether it's Aurora, whether it's Crimson, whether it's Terror, you know, any armor that can have attributes. So if you have the money for it, then go for Veteran 10 because it's 100% worth it. If you take a look at Crimson armor in general, the ones that have Veteran aren't actually that expensive. So even if it has some other attribute that you don't use, get the one that has veteran and get the veteran to level 10 just to get more combat wisdom. Again, that is if combat XP is something that you're going for. Otherwise, obviously I would recommend getting a veteran vitality and leveling that up to tier 10. Well, that was a very long video, guys, so if I left anything out, please let me know in the comments. I might pin your comment if you're right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out my shorts for profile reviews. Make sure to check out my channel memberships if you want to be guaranteed a profile review. Make sure to like this video if you have liked the video, because liking the video will help me reach more people, which in turn will actually help me make more videos for you guys. But yeah, that's it for me today. I will see you in the next video.